If the trailer for Outlander episode 3 feels heavier than usual, that's because it is. There's a clear shift in tone here, and it's not subtle. The calm, reflective pacing from the earlier episodes is starting to give way to something more urgent, more dangerous, and honestly, more emotional. This episode looks like the point where everything begins to collide. Right from the first few seconds of the trailer, you can feel that sense of unease. There are no long speeches, no clear explanations, just quick flashes of tension, movement, and reactions. And that usually means one thing in a show like this. Something big is about to happen, and the characters don't have time to prepare for it. A lot of that tension clearly ties back to the growing impact of the American Revolutionary War. Up until now, the war has been building slowly in the background, influencing decisions without fully taking over the story. But episode 3 looks like the moment where that changes. The trailer shows soldiers mobilizing, weapons being handled, and a general sense that conflict is no longer avoidable. For Jamie Fraser, this is exactly the kind of situation he's been trying to delay, but probably always knew was coming. Jamie has never been someone who can stand on the sidelines when people he cares about are in danger. The trailer hints that he may soon be forced into another leadership role, possibly making decisions that could determine the fate of Fraser's Ridge. And if you look closely at Jamie in the trailer, it's not just determination you see, it's weight. There's a heaviness in the way he reacts, like he already understands the cost of what's ahead. That suggests episode 3 might put him in a position where there's no right choice, only necessary ones. On the other side, Claire Fraser is dealing with a completely different kind of pressure. Her storyline in the trailer feels urgent, almost frantic at times. We see quick glimpses that suggest she's treating injuries or dealing with the aftermath of violence. And that's where her role becomes complicated again. Claire's knowledge of the future has always been both her greatest strength and her biggest burden. She knows how the war unfolds, she knows the devastation it brings, but she also knows that interfering too much could change everything in unpredictable ways. Episode 3 might push her into one of those moments where she has to decide, does she act on what she knows, or does she let history take its course? And if she chooses to act, the consequences could be huge. The trailer also gives us some important hints about the next generation of the Fraser family, especially Brianna Fraser and Roger Mackenzie. Their scenes feel quieter, but not in a peaceful way, more like the calm before something changes. There's a sense that their storyline is building toward a turning point, possibly involving time travel or a major decision that affects their future. What's interesting is how the trailer places their scenes alongside the rising tension of the war. That contrast suggests their story might connect to the larger conflict in a way we're not fully seeing yet. Whether that means returning to the past, staying in the present, or facing a new kind of threat, episode 3 could be where things start to shift for them in a big way. Then there's young Ian, who continues to feel like one of the most emotionally complex characters in the series right now. The trailer hints that he's stepping into something significant, possibly a situation that tests both his loyalty and his identity. Ian has always lived between different worlds, and episode 3 might push that conflict to the surface again. His storyline could easily tie into the larger themes of the episode: belonging, responsibility, and the cost of choosing a side. Another thing the trailer does really well is how it uses silence. There are moments where characters are just looking at each other, reacting, processing. No dialogue, no explanation, just emotion. And in Outlander, those moments are often where the real story is happening. Because this isn't just a show about events, it's a show about how those events affect people. And that brings us to one of the biggest possibilities for episode 3, consequences from the past starting to catch up. The trailer subtly hints that not everything has been left behind. Whether it's old decisions, unresolved conflicts, or even long-standing mysteries, there's a feeling that something is resurfacing. The final season has been building toward closure, and episode 3 might be one of the first major steps in that direction. Visually, everything in the trailer supports that idea. The lighting is darker, the shots feel tighter, and there's less of that open, peaceful atmosphere we usually associate with Fraser's Ridge. Even when characters are at home, it doesn't feel safe anymore. It feels like the outside world is closing in. And that's probably the biggest takeaway from this trailer. Nowhere is truly safe now. So, What can we realistically expect from Outlander Episode 3? We can expect the war to move from background tension to active conflict. We can expect Jamie to face a decision that could change everything. We can expect Claire to be pushed into another moral dilemma that tests how far she's willing to go to protect the future. We can also expect emotional turning points for Brianna, Roger, and young Ian, moments that could define where their stories go next. But more than anything, we should expect a shift. Because Episode 3 doesn't feel like just another chapter. It feels like the beginning of the endgame. The moment where the story stops building and starts delivering consequences. And if Outlander has proven anything over the years, it's that when those consequences come, they don't hold back. So, whatever you think is going to happen next, just remember, this show always finds a way to go further.